Hey everybody, Tony D. Little Joan is somewhere in the background chewing on something. What are you eating? Are you eating something good? Are you eating a treat? Or are you just licking on a cushion? Ugh. Anyhow, I thought I'd address some of the comments in my YouTube videos. Every once in a while I have to do this. And I first have to explain how my screenwriter's rants work, because people who stumble upon my channel when I cover something popular like the Wheel of Time can't seem to figure it out. So we're going to go through that again real quick, and then we'll get into some of the comments. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Please check out my books. Links in the description if you want to support the channel. And don't forget Bitchute and Rumble. Now, first, I'll explain for the umpteenth time how I do a screenwriter's rant. I'm analyzing a trailer, specifically the trailer, not the movie. I don't play the trailer because I've been flagged multiple times on YouTube for playing the trailer. I have no idea why. Take it up with YouTube. I'm done talking to those a-holes. They don't respond in any kind of constructive way to any of my inquiries. They demonetize me and then they just remonetize me after I complained and complained and complained. So I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the rules are anymore. All I know is that if I don't like a movie, apparently a movie company can flag me and say, oh, he's violating the copyright. Oh, yeah, I'm violating the copyright. But if I love the movie, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing at YouTube, so I don't play the trailer. I watch it. Of course I watch it. I don't just click through it and try to make up my mind from that. That would be impossible. So I watch the trailer, and I analyze the trailer from a screenwriter's perspective, from a guy who's written movies and how they usually play out and how they usually get produced. Okay, so that's how it works. So I recently did The Wheel of Time. They're doing a TV show on Amazon based on The Wheel of Time, which was a series of books back in the 80s, which I vaguely remember coming out at the time. I think they came out right around the time I got out of high school. It was like 84. And there's a big fan base, and that's fine. So there's been two rumors. And the first rumor is that Amazon is pushing for a ton of content, number one. And number two, the other rumor is that they're pushing specifically for more woke content. That they're doing that for Lord of the Rings and all the Game of Thrones fantasy stuff. And so naturally, one of the inquiries is this woke? Because if you just look at the trailer, it could be construed as woke, but I don't know the source material. So I didn't know that in the Wheel of Time, the wizards are divided into male and females. If you're a female, you can wield the power, no problem. If you're a male, it eventually drives you insane. So, big difference. And I could argue that that's kind of a woke concept back in the 80s. We had them. But, you know, if you present it correctly, it's no big deal. Who cares? So I used the term woke in the analysis of the trailer, and I got some weird pushback from people who obviously don't seem very interested in my channel, number one. So I don't understand anybody who would bother to post a comment to a YouTuber that they don't like. Like, maybe like someone like famous, like, I don't know, Brie Larson or something. If you really don't like her movies, you might take a moment to shout out to her and say, hey, your movies suck or whatever. But I don't understand it for total strangers criticizing other strangers, unless, like a lot of woke people, you just got to virtue signal. You just got to say, oh, you don't understand. See, I get it. I get being woke. And so I had these people, going on and on like, oh, woke, that's just a term that alt-right use, right? It's not. It's been used quite a bit on YouTube if you've been alive for more than 10 seconds. But virtue signalers got a signal, right? So, anyhow, first, let me say that most of the comments were very nice. I asked about the Wheel of Time, and the fans came through, and they all posted very nice thing. Now, someone who agreed with me said this. I won't mention the name because I don't want to call anybody out, but he was very nice. As someone who read the first novel, I can tell you this is a woke take because you had a male lead in this trailer. Looks like a woman from Woman Take the Forefront. Yes, I know women could use magic in the books, but so did the MC and the female sorcerers and male warriors as partners. Also, it looks like they diversified the cast, which in the first book, they were all Caucasian. And if you played the first Dragon Age, you pretty much got a good idea of the Wheel of Time. So it looks like it's a woke take, and that's what I suspected. And it's not like I'm a genius for figuring that out. Everything in Hollywood coming down the pike is woke because they think they're doing everybody a favor. They think that's going to get them exposure and more money. And that's the trend, and that's what Hollywood does. It follows trends down the rabbit hole until people are so exhausted by them, they push back and go, I am not going to see another effing thing you do. And it also is true that there are regimes within the studios, right? So you get people who take over the studio and they greenlight tons and tons of movies. And when a new regime comes in, the first thing they do is put the kibosh on all the old movies and all the old projects. It's the first thing they do. The rumor is that the reason X-Men 3 was so bad was because they tried to lure Bryan Singer off X-Men 2, and they couldn't do it. Like, they cut his budget, and they did all these things. He still wouldn't leave the project. He wanted to do X-Men 2. He ends up doing it. It's a solid movie. And then for 3, they pulled out all the stops because the rumor was that a new regime came in and they didn't want the X-Men franchise to continue because it was part of the old studio's regime. It was the predecessor of the previous studio head that produced it or greenlit it or whatever. And when you're the new studio head, you don't want any of those old projects or franchises to move forward because it makes it look like they made a mistake getting rid of that. Oh, maybe we should have kept that old guy. Maybe we should have kept that previous guy. Oh, what's this new guy doing? If you get rid of all of them, if you sabotage all those projects, then your projects, by comparison, look better. So with X-Men 3, they eventually lured, the rumor is, Bryan Singer off the movie by handing him a Superman franchise and, all the tea in China. And then they handed the movie off to a first-time director, I think, a guy who'd only directed music videos. They just basically let the whole thing fall apart. And I hear it was kind of an S show. I didn't even see the third movie. So it's very easy for these things to go south. Look at Game of Thrones. They ran out of books. The TV guy said, oh, don't worry, we got his notes. We'll figure it out. And what'd you get? Did you like the ending of Game of Thrones? I don't think you did. I don't think it compares. But so it's very easy for these things to go south. And it's also very easy to make a pile of S look like something, especially if it hasn't come out yet. So it could be very true that there's very solid CGI, some good-looking actors, but there's no name actors. That, to me, could be a sign that they're not too confident in this thing. And that they're trying to sell it based on the wokeness. And wokeness is a thing. And I defined wokeness, and nobody reads the damn comments, which is partly why I keep getting the same comments in the Wheel of Time over and over again. Oh, I'll explain the Wheel of Time to you. Yeah, I know. 50 other people did it. Do you not see them? No offense, people who politely explain the Wheel of Time. But the people who said, even a guy who commented within a thread said, oh, you didn't define wokeness. I clearly did. I clearly defined wokeness, or my version of it, in the thread, and he just ignored it. And one guy I did ban because I'll ban your sorry ass if you insult me in the comments. I don't give an S. Why do I care? I don't need you coming into my comments and insulting me. This is my channel. It's my channel. It's my house. You don't come into my house and insult me. This is what it is. If you don't like it, go to another channel. I don't care. I mean, that's what it is. You don't come to somebody's channel and start insulting them. And yes, I realize it's ironic if I insult you, but again, that's my prerogative if I feel you're being unfair. Oh, but you don't get to insult me. If you're polite, I'll treat you polite. Um, but a lot of people just don't, especially the woke. And what the woke is, it's kind of a new religion. It's this idea that diversity and inclusion means, well, the people who push this stuff never concretely define what that means. What it kind of means is every project should be a rainbow coalition of races and ethnicities and religions and sexual preferences, because that somehow makes everything better. And when I say the woke and the way they use it, we're talking about people who only see that, right? I was talking actually in my Hollywoke hot take how in the writing community on Twitter, you have people who brag about, oh, I've got this gay scene and people got upset, so I put more gay scenes in. No one really cares, right? It's this idea of positioning yourself as a victim, so people go, oh, you're a victim. I'll support you. I'll support you because you're being victimized. Hey, yeah. It's a clever little grift of like what people do now. What people used to do back in the 80s, yeah, there was actual, you had situations where people were gay and maybe they got their signals mixed up and hit on somebody of the same sex, and then got a over the top reaction from some dude who maybe is gay himself but just doesn't want to admit it, and then there's fisticuffs, and yeah, it was totally an overreaction. It was bad stuff back in the 80s, but that was the 80s. Okay, that was 40 friggin' years ago. That's not the way society works in the United States now. I mean, gay people are lauded everywhere they go. People are called stunning and brave just for being gay. So it's kind of like what happened after 9/11. Like after 9/11, they would talk about police and soldiers and EMT workers like they walked across water, and they wouldn't shut up about them. And after a while, it got really annoying because it was just like, okay, we get it. They did a great job. They made the ultimate sacrifice. They're good people. We like them. Shut up. Just shut up about them. And it's the same sort of thing with diversity and inclusion. They're just going on and on and on. And you have today on Google, it's like, oh, we've got a diversity and inclusion thing. And you can click on this thing and we can talk about people and how diverse they are and how wonderful they are. It's like, just because you happen to be of a racial group, just because you happen to be of a sexual orientation that's fairly rare in society, and just because you happen to be you, doesn't mean you're good. You can be bad. You can be good too. But those are just immutable traits that you just happen to have. And no one really cares about them. And when it comes to entertainment projects, some characters are certain races, sexual orientations too. They're just as diverse. And you want the best actor playing them, and you want the best writers writing them, and you want the best directors directing them. It shouldn't be like, well, we have to get people of certain races to direct certain racial things and certain genders of certain this and certain that. Nobody cares about that. Anybody who's ever performed ever can tell you no one cares about that. Now, there are performers who will leverage that this current trend to get more work because they are typically desperate people who need the work. I mean, it's a tough business, and I don't blame anybody for using whatever they can to get a gig. But understand that it's woke nonsense that people are caught up in. And people commenting in my comments, well, you don't know what woke is. Oh, that's a alt-right thing, and blah, blah, blah. I don't really care. And you're doing the virtue signaling. You're wasting your time on a channel you supposedly, in a video that you supposedly don't like, talking back and forth to me like you're schooling me. I don't care. No one cares. No one reads the damn comments. The people who like me don't even read the comments. They often repeat themselves to what other people said in the comments. I try not to do that, unless there's like 100 million comments and then whatever. But geez, I mean, if you see 200 comments and you're going to state something obvious, you can usually pretty much bet that it's already been said, you know? So, and I'm not slamming the people who explained over and over again the Wheel of Time. I asked for that, and that's fine. But, for the people who are getting all bent out of shape about woke or the term woke, you're the problem. See, you're caught up in this, not me. I'm not woke. And maybe you could have called me woke back in my college days when I was more of a progressive, and I felt I needed to support certain causes to be a good person. But that's what young people do. They don't understand how the world works, so they get caught up in things because they tend to be more emotional than they should be. It's why young people do stupid things. They fall in love. They just get caught up in things because, it's the right thing to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to change the world. And then you get beaten down for a few years, and you go, that was stupid. Why did I do that? And you realize there are smarter ways to approach things. There's more subtle and nuanced ways. So I was talking about the transgender protest, I guess you can call it, on Broadway. They want more representation after a casting director said something like casting trans people was a gimmick. It is a gimmick right now. It's a gimmick. That doesn't mean there aren't talented trans actors. It doesn't mean that there aren't roles for trans people to play in Broadway. He is merely acknowledging the trend currently. And the protest will do nothing. It's virtue signaling. Yeah, you might browbeat a few more Broadway plays to put trans people in there for no other reason other than they're trans, but that's not a reason to cast somebody, because these are tough performances. It's not easy to play the lead in a Broadway play. It's a lot of work. And if you're just going to cast somebody because they're trans, it could be a disaster. Now, it might not be, because there's plenty of good trans actors, I'm sure, but it could be. And then you have no one to blame yourself. Racial, sexual, hiring quotas of any kind are bad, especially in show business, where you need talent. The only metric should be the talent. That's it. The talent, the merit. Maybe there's a couple other minor factors, but it's about the talent. You need good actors. You need good performers. And they exist. And the better ones get more work than the ones who aren't so great. But the ones who aren't so great may become great over a period of years. You just got to give them an opportunity. And it's a tough business. There are names, there are things to do. It's very complicated, and the fans don't always understand that. So when I say the Wheel of Time may or may not be woke, it's a realistic assessment of the trailer and of the times we live in. If you had asked me 10 years ago, I wouldn't even have used the term woke. I didn't start the term woke. It was pushed onto me by other people who won't shut up about race and gender. So maybe if you wokies, get past it, we can all get past the whole race and gender thing and go back to our lives the way things were prior to you losing your brains over politics. And, we can go back to watching cool movies and cool TV shows. And make no mistake, Hollywood can make all your crap too. All your woke crap with all the woke virtue signaling you want. They have more than enough money to make both. But see, they follow trends. So right now they're dumping all their money into your woke crap. But they'll stop. And when they do, you're going to be left in the dust. But not really, because you're following the trends too. And people who follow trends, they get bored of it too. You'll be some of the first people to go, I don't want to see that. I am an ally, but I just don't want to see an all trans version of Little Women. So I'm going to pass this time. Not that I'm transphobic or anything. And yeah, you'll get sick of it too. It'll just take longer because you're committed to the bit. And that's it for me, Tony D. Check me out on Bitchute and Rumble. We'll see you tomorrow.